Welcome to you all to our service. The text for my address now, friends, is taken from the Gospel according to Matthew, chapter 5, the 6th verse. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. As you know, here we have one of the Beatitudes at the beginning of the Sermon on the Mount, and the preacher, of course, none other than Jesus Christ himself. John Prew was a well-known Welsh traveller in North Wales during the 40s, 50s, 60s and early 70s. I prefer the term traveller to tramp. John would visit many farms. He had his favourites. And the first thing he would do was to ask in his own unique way for some bread and butter. And he'd ask very directly. Then, quite often, having received a lovely piece of bread thick with farmhouse butter, John would take a couple of bites and then proceed on his way out to throw the rest over the hedge. It would appear that John Prew was not always as hungry as you'd think. Can I ask, on how many occasions when it draws near to meal times have we uttered the words, "Gosh, I'm ready for my dinner. I'm starving. I'm starving." The truth is that during the last 60, 70 years, few people in the western part of the world know what it is to be truly starving. Mind you, there are some within our communities who today know what it is to be without nourishment and close to starvation. But they would appear to be in the minority. But in many other parts of our world, it's a different story. And also, during the time of Jesus, it was a different story. Sadly, starvation was all too common. A working person's wage at that time was equivalent to approximately 10 pence in today's money. But even then, such a sum did not go far at all. At the time of Jesus, a working man and his family were lucky if they ate any type of meat once a fortnight. And as I have mentioned, malnourishment was quite common. It was a very similar story when it came to quenching one's thirst. Of course, it wasn't simply a matter of turning a tap on and clean, fresh water would flow. Oh no. As you know, it was a matter of travelling for miles to the nearest well to fetch a bucket of water. Clean water, hopefully, if the supply had not dried up entirely. Therefore, the hunger Jesus refers to in the Beatitudes is not a hunger which can be sated with a mid-morning snack. And neither is this thirst a thirst which can be quenched with a quick cup of tea. In referring to a hunger and a thirst for righteousness, Jesus is comparing this to someone who desperately hungers and thirsts for fairness in today's world and an opportunity for all. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. My great-grandmother, Lillian Bartley, was from the town of Denbigh in Denbighshire. She was a regular chapel goer And even when she was in her 90s, she attended Sion Chapel in the top of town, which was just round the corner from her home. Quite naturally, being the age she was, sometimes during the sermon, 9 would nod off for a short while. One Sunday afternoon, when the preacher began his sermon, 9, even though she did not try at all, started nodding off and fell into a deeper sleep than normal. But it would appear that the preacher that Sunday was a jovial chap and had a keen sense of humour, because at the end of the service, he went to one of the elders and said with a smile on his face, "Do you know, I knew I was boring, but I didn't think I was that boring." Indifference and apathy has plagued the church throughout the centuries. Like every other establishment, come to that. But in this beatitude, Jesus inspires us to awaken and yearn for righteousness within our society and within our world. Awaken. He's not suggesting that righteousness is something which should be listlessly wished for 1 minute and forgotten about the next minute, but earnestly yearned for. As the prophet Isaiah says, wake up, O Zion, clothe yourself with strength." Despite what the media would lead us to believe, I am of the opinion that the majority of people in our world are well-meaning. This is how they are born, and most of them remain so throughout their lives. But sadly, quite often, even though people mean so well and have no malicious spirit at all, there is no determinedness there. There is no fire in the belly. That's what happens to an indifferent society. As Robert Louis Stevenson once said, most people suffer from the malady of not wanting. Not wanting. If we truly wish to play our part to create a fairer society, we will feel this deep in our bones. We will have a newfound determination. And this is what makes the difference. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be filled. Even though our text inspires us to hunger and thirst for righteousness, to commit to our calling as Christians, we also gain comfort from the fact, friends, that the person who is blessed is not simply the person who succeeds 100% to establish righteousness. Those who are blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. As fallible people, we are not going to succeed in all we do. We are not going to succeed in all our endeavours. And however disheartening this may be, it's what's in our hearts which Jesus is concerned about. How committed we are. As William Barclay once said, if blessedness came only to those who achieved, then none would be blessed. In our churches sometimes, we live in such fear of failing that we decide it's better not to try something different. Better not to take the plunge. Why? Well, just in case. The fear of failure. At the end of the day, Christ knows us far better than we know ourselves. He knows each one of our imperfections. But when you sweep all of these things to one side, that which is of utmost importance to him is what is in our hearts. What do we yearn for? H.G. Wells once said, "A person may be a bad musician, but still be passionately in love with music. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be filled." As I have mentioned, apathy is one of the most obvious enemies of our modern society. Apathy in relation to our faith, and apathy in relation to our fellow human beings. There was a Welsh preacher from Anglesey many years ago who categorized those within our society who are thoroughly apathetic as the "I'm not bothered" group. You ask them to give an opinion, you ask them to commit to something, and they simply shrug their shoulders and mumble, "I'm not bothered." These people often find themselves in some sort of no man's land. They are neither believers or non-believers. They are not totally unfeeling, neither are they passionate about anything. They are not hot or cold. The "I'm not bothered" brigade. Such a person, remember, such a person is not bad. Indeed, it is easy for us all, friends, to slide into this category. Very easy. When we lose the dogged determination to make a difference, however fallible we think our efforts are, when we lose that yearning to do our bit, to play our part, what is there left? What is there remaining? Nothing. God, the God of love, challenges us all to react. React to all of life's experiences, and react quite simply out of love. That love that wilt not let us go. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. An eminent theologian once interestingly said, "Demonstrating love is more imperative than solving the great theological arguments." On life's journey, as you all know, there are plenty of unanswerable questions. And our faith may be shaken sometimes. But instead of responding with despondency or apathy, let us show, friends, what we're made of. Let us demonstrate our dogged determination. Respond earnestly. Make a difference. That is where God is at. And that is where we should be at. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. In Jesus' name, amen.